Hi, my name is Maria Williams, and this is the cover page of my informative presentation. The title is Memorial Day. So, like a lot of us, I didn't know the true meaning of Memorial Day and why Memorial Day needed to be celebrated. To be honest, I really didn't care. All I knew was that Memorial Day was the first official holiday of the summer, and that's all I knew. It wasn't until I got married to my husband, who is retired from the military, he's a retired soldier. He had to explain to me the importance of what Memorial Day meant and why we needed to celebrate Memorial Day, and if we could participate in any of the Memorial Day ceremonies. So we're going to talk about the roots, the controversy, the military founder, and why Memorial Day became a holiday. So to begin with the roots, there was the first Memorial Day parade, which was held in Charleston, South Carolina on March 29th in 1865. It was about 6 weeks before the last battle of the Civil War. Black Charlestonians organized this parade to honor Union troops and the end of slavery in South Carolina. Soldiers, representatives of the city's various trades, and school children marched, followed by the float bearing slavery coffin and a sign proclaiming Sumter dug his grave on the 13th of April in 1861. So now we're going to talk about the controversy, because there were many small communities that didn't have contact with big towns or cities where newspapers were printed. Cities from the upper state New York all the way to Virginia and elsewhere have laid claims to the original Memorial Day ceremony. Historians have found that only credible Memorial Day ceremony was the one in South Carolina in 1865. Not to mention that while the Civil War was coming to a close and the South had been defeated, many of white Southerners didn't want to celebrate a day of mourning for all soldiers. They only wanted to celebrate for the ones that fought for the Confederacy. Confederate Memorial Day is currently at an official state in Alabama, Mississippi, and South Carolina. While it is commemorated in Kentucky, Florida, North Carolina, Texas, and Tennessee, it is also formally recognized in Georgia, Louisiana, and Virginia. It wasn't until after World War I that the majority of the nation recognized Memorial Day as a celebration for men and women of the nation who had fought and died in the wars up to this point. So now we're going to talk about the military founder. The military founder was General John A. London of the Grand Army of the Republic, an organization of the former Union sailors and soldiers established a decoration day. The day was set aside to remember the soldiers and sailors who had died during the Civil War and decorate their graves with flowers. He suggested that the date of 30 May because all of the flowers around the U.S. would be in full bloom during this time. The first large observance was held that year at the Arlington National Cemetery across the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. The ceremonies centered around the mourning draped veranda of the Arlington Mansion. This was once the home of General Robert E. Lee. Various Washington officials, including General and Mrs. Ulysses S. Grant, presided over the ceremonies. After the speeches, children from the soldiers and sailors' orphan home and members of the Grand Army Republic made their way through the cemetery, strewing flowers on both the Union and Confederate graves, reciting prayers and singing hymns. So now we're going to talk about the federal holiday and why this is a federal holiday. So while most of the country recognized May 30th of each year as Memorial Day, this day was not an official holiday. There were still parts of the country and business sectors where citizens were allowed to miss work. They were allowed to participate in like the parades and listen to the Memorial Day speeches, but this actually was not an official day off. It was not until 1971 that Memorial Day was declared a national holiday by the act of Congress. Although back then it was still called Decoration Day, it was then also placed on the last Monday in May, as were some other federal holidays. And while we celebrate this day to honor those who died in the wars for this nation, Memorial Day is still considered the first official holiday of the summer. Thank you. That was my presentation.